Now think Ducati and you should think Desmodromic valve gear, and here's a picture of it, and here is also a picture of the man, Fabio Taglioni. He's the man who designed this valve gear. He actually got the idea off Mercedes, but nevertheless he was dissatisfied with the quality of the steel used in valve springs, because valves used to bounce a lot then at high revs. With a Desmodromic system, which is from the Greek, which actually means running or controlled running, you've got 3 cams on this one, and the whole valve operation is all mechanical, no springs here. You get 1 cam that opens the valve, another cam that closes it. This was a 3 camshaft system as per this engine over here. As you can see, 1, 2, 3 cams now, but they've now modified that to just 2 overhead cams. Now we're coming to some recognisable races. 1972 saw us with this in this disco colour silver. 1972 it was when Paul Smart won at Imola on this one, 750cc Desmo V-twin. First major race victory for them, but it looks quite the business, doesn't it? Looks a bit quaint now, but nevertheless, if you move on a few years to 1978, when the late great Mike Hailwood won the Formula 1 TT, the F1 TT, on his magic comeback to the Isle of Man on this one, 900cc. And of course, you could still buy Mike Hailwood replicas on this one, and if you're very lucky, you could pick one up today. But a really historic bike. Now in this Hall of Fame, you've got a whole range of races, you can see them here. This is really fantastic stuff. But it brings us up to 1980, when we get this, the first of the belt-driven bikes. This is developed from the Panther engine, 600cc, and so you've got the new belt-driven V-twin engine, and you can also see the first of the open trellis frames. Can you see this design here? Carried through, of course, to the later bikes. Now 1987 saw us with this one, the 851. A really significant bike, the first development of the 888 and eventually ending up in 916 land. First of the liquid cooled bikes, so still a 90-degree engine, 4-valve Desmo, but liquid cooled. Then you come along here to 1990. Now this is really recognisable. I had an 888 SP4, and you can see all the trends of that. I can recognise the frame is really the standard trellis frame. Very little change. I can recognise the old rattling clutch there. Coming along to this one, 1992, another development and a further development. And I think this one is actually Doug Poland's bike. Yes, Doug it says up there. So this was a World Superbike winner. Then here's another one, Raymond Rush. This one's actually got twin fillers on the top and a load of signatures over there. It's a shame really that I can't do all these justice really in this museum, but there's so much information here that the poor old head just won't take it all. Now as I've been talking about all the bikes out there, and I've been mentioning Desmodromic valve gear, 4-valve heads and all the rest of it. Now the guy who developed the engine after the first Desmodromic was Massimo Bordi, and he developed the 4-valve heads and further Desmodromic valve gear. But seeing this engine in all its component parts, you can see it in all its glory. This is in fact a race engine, a 996 engine. See the massive injectors up there, and just as they had on World Superbike engines, fuel injectors at the top spraying into there. But in here you can see all the parts, massive pistons with very short skirts, and the valves in there. You can clearly see the valves, and on the top here you can actually see the Desmodromic valve gear. Now Pierre Terreblanche, the man who designed the 916, that beautiful bodywork, he also designed this, which is the Supermono Racer 550cc. And if you look at the styling cues on that one, the fairing there and the tank, those have been repeated on the 900 SS road bike. But over here is the engine from that. Now the interesting thing with this engine is, it's the V-twin engine with the back cylinder just cut off, literally. They've even kept the conrod in there and put a link shaft in there so they can keep the balance right. So you just got the forward cylinder bored out to 550cc, and what an engine that has proved to be. Now bringing us right up to date, 1994 saw our man Carl Fogarty on a 916 to win his first World Superbike Championship. In fact, the engine was 950cc. In 1995, the engine had grown to 955 and Carl won again. 1996 saw Troy Corser win again on a 996. 1997, we got here a 748. Casoli won the 748 Supersports title on that in 97. 1998, Carl came back on a 996 and won again. And then in 1999, he won his 4th World Championship, again on a Ducati 996. Now this might be a museum, but that doesn't mean everything in it is old. That could apply to me too, couldn't it? Because this is their brand new V-twin engine. 996 again, but they've slimmed down the heads, still Desmodromic, and they've also changed the valve angle. This is from 60 degree to 20 degree. Now, you haven't even seen this engine in a bike yet. This is for the 2001 models, so think yourself very lucky. Well, that's it. From condensers to world superbikes in just 75 years. I wonder what the next 75 years are going to bring.